Gojo versus Sukuna. One of the best fights in manga history, anime history. Almost undebatably, definitely in my top five. So basically, came to talk here on today about the fight and why Sukuna losing, or not Sukuna losing, how Sukuna's fraud allegations of being a fraud and his win was an ass pull came to kind of, attack that standpoint a little bit. First, we got to go into in depth with the fight and how the characters were fighting and the strategies they were using. So first, I'll talk for Gojo, right? So Gojo Satoru, the honored one, has the curse technique Limitless and Six Eyes. Again, we can start off with battle IQ off first. Gojo isn't exactly like Sukuna in this regard. It's not really tactical in a way. It's more like, I'm going to try this, and if it works, right? So he's more of a improvisation type of fighter, right? We see this with the way he fights and with the domain clashes they have and, just the way he thinks when he's fighting in his monologue, right? Now, Sukuna, on the other hand, is more of a tactical and more skilled fighter and thinking way ahead of time during the fight. Sukuna, even in the domain clashes, was thinking way ahead in the fight, which is why he won, of course. But in terms of like who has the better battle IQ and which way is it more effective, you have to give it to Sukuna due to the fact that he was able to outsmart Gojo in general, and Gojo never saw it coming. Which, I mean, I'm surprised he didn't see it coming, because it was pretty obvious what Sukuna was trying to do as the end result. But in terms of if we're talking about raw power and just strength in general, it would definitely go to Gojo in hand-to-hand combat. Every single encounter they had with hand-to-hand combat, Gojo was able to gain the higher edge or literally toss Sukuna around like a rag doll. Sukuna couldn't really do much about that. And this is because that Gojo was amping himself with blue, which made his raw power way stronger than somebody like Toto or Yuji, for example. So with him amping himself with blue, he was just throwing Sukuna around. Sukuna couldn't really do much when it came to hand-to-hand combat. Gojo was also the more skilled fighter when it comes to hand-to-hand combat. Sukuna's more of a, you could say, from the way he fights, doesn't look like he's as skilled, or it looks like he's more of a freestyle fighter. Just whatever works. But going into even the domain clashes, I'm pretty sure there was 5 in total, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 5 in total. Even going in with the domain clashes, Sukuna was just thinking way ahead by having Megumi take the blunt force of Infinite Void for 0.1 seconds, I believe. And just having Mahoraga adapt to Infinity for the later plan, which Gojo didn't realize. Now, as much as you think that, Sukuna was ass pulling, Sukuna needed Mahoraga, regardless of how you think, he won. He won at the end of the day. He outsmarted and beat Gojo. Now, of course, if Gojo realized his plan, he most likely could have won. But is Sukuna a fraud because he outsmarted Gojo? No. Did they jump him? No? Yes. Yeah, he jumped him. But he used his advantages. He planned ahead of time. He knew what it would take to beat Gojo, and that's what he did. Now, let me explain how he beat Gojo. Now, World Cut Slash is a slash attack that is specifically made to bypass Infinity. And to explain it a little further and a little simpler, it's able to cut the world itself, which is why it was able to bypass Infinity. Now, this wouldn't be possible without Mahoraga because Sukuna doesn't have the ability to bypass it by himself. So it's a kind of joint ability. Basically, to break it down, it's only possible due to Mahoraga's adaptation and how far he adapted to it, because he was able to adapt to Gojo's attacks with Infinity. So Sukuna basically, in a way, kind of cheated his way to adapting faster without using domain amplification. Now, again, I'll say this again. I don't personally think it was an ass pool because he was trying to do this from the start, is what it seemed. He wanted Maharaga's will to adapt more enough for him to use and for him to build a technique or an attack to cut right through Gojo in one blow, which he did. Now, Gojo does have a lot of more outside factors, a little bit, than Sukuna does. As much as you want to say Sukuna had help from Maharaga and Agito, which, I mean, Agito didn't really do anything. But Maharaga and Agito, Gojo also had Utimi's help at making his output and everything 200%. And, both of them had prep time. But I feel like Sukuna knew exactly what he was going to do during the time he was going to fight Gojo. Everything was building up to Maharaga adapting from the start and him being able to build World Cutting Slash. My overview of the fight is that I think Sukuna played it out perfectly. I think Gojo could have won if he was aware of this attack, because then he would have been wary of it. But there's probably no way, unless he would have thought Sukuna would have counterattacked with that he could ever just think like, oh, Sukuna is going to use Maharaga to adapt and not attack with Maharaga and use his technique plus Maharaga's adaptation. He probably wasn't thinking like that. He was probably just thinking, oh, Maharaga can adapt to my technique, so I have to watch out for Maharaga. And then I have to watch out for Sukuna using domain amplification as well. But just with that, it's just a lot of more factors that go into why Sukuna won. Overall, he's the more experienced and seasoned fighter. But do I think it was close? Not really. The moment Sukuna develops that technique, or no, my apologies, that attack, it's kind of like over for Gojo. He's not aware of the attack, and that would catch him off guard in general. I feel like Gojo, in probably every scenario, would have died because, again, he wouldn't be aware he wouldn't know that it would break past Infinity. Therefore, he'd just be off guarded by it every single time, regardless, unless there was a way that he know about World Cutting Slash, which he can't. So I don't think, at the end of the day, in the overall fight, I don't see Gojo coming out on top unless he would have been able to pull off a hollow purple. But at the same time, Sukuna survived that. Maybe it did a lot of damage, yes, but he survived it nonetheless. But yeah, the fight overall was amazing. Do I think Gojo could have won? Maybe in some fake ass scenario, but no, I highly doubt it. Sukuna dominated the fight in terms of skill and battle IQ, but to the viewers of the manga and the readers, it looked as if Gojo was gonna win due to the fact that he was just beating the crap out of Sukuna physically, and then hit him with that 200% hollow purple, and they thought it was all over, and they got hit with the craziest thing ever. But I don't think it was an ass pull after it was explained, and I don't think the fight was really that close. Even when you think about how Gojo was, again, beating the crap out of Sukuna and making him a meme, at the end of the day, you also have to think, it's like, okay, you read the fight again, and you're like, okay, Sukuna was building up to this conclusion the entire time. He just needed time to do it because Maharaga can't adapt to Infinity completely, and he can't use that in one go immediately. He can't. World Cutting Slash needed to be developed for Sukuna because Sukuna's not Maharaga. He also needs to develop as well. But yeah, that's probably my take on it. I would say more things, but again, I'm still getting used to this at the end of the day. But yeah, I'd probably say that this is my take. Sukuna deserved it. I'm not gonna lie. And also, I was reading the manga too. This is besides the point. Because I had to reread the fight for the video. At the start of the fight, I like how Gojo says, "You're the challenger." When like, when like at the start of the fight, he tried to off guard Sukuna, like from the start with a 200% hollow purple. So I just find it funny how like Gojo's declaring Sukuna's the challenger, but tried to off guard the shit out of him. Like, come on, bro. Like, you know you're the challenger. Like, you're a take hand first and everything. He was on the opposite side of the he was on the opposite side of the city. He was low key minding his business. He was staring at him. He was minding his business. But yeah, when he shot the hollow purple at him, I think that declared Gojo as the challenger. You're challenging him. Even the titles, the strongest of today versus the strongest in history. I mean, he's the strongest in history or the strongest of today. I mean, pretty sure of all history, that means of all time right now. So, I mean, him being the strongest of today, I guess it's cool, but y'all get the motive. I mean, or y'all get what I'm trying to say. But yeah, overall, good fight. It was done great in my top 5 manga fights. But yeah, that's just my personal take on it. But yeah, that's all I had to say. I'll see y'all later.